Hello. Hi everyone. If you're there, and type hello. We're on a bit early, but that's fine. So I'm just going to bring that in there. I'm going to show you what I'm using today. So welcome to this lovely sunny day that we're having in October. Hey Deborah, how are you? Sorry I couldn't come and get you yesterday. Bit of a manic week this week. Are you okay? How are you, Deb? So if you're on, please type hello so I know who's watching, and then what we'll do, we'll get started then as soon as 2 o'clock arrives. I'm just going to talk through the card as well. Oh, I'm glad you're fine, Deborah. So the things I'm using today is actually from the Crafter's Inspiration issue 27. Now I have done a card with this, and it was a little while back, and I did flowers around the outer edge and then did the wording with the jelly plate, and I actually used the stamps from this and the stencil, the dotty stencil, so you can look back on that one. But today I'm actually going to be using the die from the actual card, just to show how to use that as well. And that is Crafter's Inspiration issue 27. So there's all sorts of inspiration in this magazine, showing how to use the dies, all sorts of different things. Okay. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to pop these things away. I'm going to keep that die out because I'm going to be able to use that. But it does come with a stencil and this stamp. Hi everyone. So with this tealy green card, I actually used the opaque pigments, and I used green topaz and lagoon. So the green topaz was for the light green and lagoon was for the dark. So, and then that's what I used on the stamp. So I used the lagoon on the stamp. But today I'm going to change it up a bit, and I'm going to change it to a lilac and purple version of this card. But everything I do will be exactly what I've done in this card. So it will be the same workings. It's just I use green topaz and lagoon for this card, and that's in the opaque pigment. But I know we do the same colours in the water-based ones as well. Hi Sarah. Hi Sandra. So I think we are about... Thank you very much. They are lovely colours. My favourite, because it's sort of a tealy sort of colour. And the colour paper that I'm using, or was using for this, is the new aqua colour card that we actually do as well. You know, we'll pick a mix, and it goes lovely with teals. So that's what I'm doing. So the other thing I'm actually going to be using today, so I'm using the die from the Crafter's Inspiration magazine. I'm using a happy birthday die and stamp from Julie Hickey. So there's a stamp which I've already got on my block, which is the big happy birthday, and you go with love and for you. And then it also comes with a die. So it's the stamp and die that matches. So I'm going to be using that, and then I'm also, out of the Phil Martin border dies, I'm actually using the straight one, and I'm actually using the plain one, which I could just cut a strip, and I'm actually going to be using the circle dotty one, which just say there. But there's another two that goes with it, and that is the loveliest lattice borders. Hi Bev, how are you? So I'm going to be using those two dies, the stamp and the die from the Julie Hickey, and the die from the Crafters Inspiration magazine. But there are other, we have got these magazines left, and we have done another live on that, which is you can find on all our social media sort of sites. Okay, so let's get going. And so everything sort of I'm using is actually in the link below, and I hope everybody is ready to go. So let's have some fun. So first of all, I need to prepare my card. So I'm going to pop that to the side. I'll pop all the dies to the side. And the first thing I need to do is take an A3 piece of card. So A3 means it's 42 centimeters by 29.7, so it's the height of A4, and then it's double width of A4. Okay, so what we do in the shop is usually a bit bigger than that, but you can cut it down easily. And what I did then, I actually took a scoreboard with centimeters, and I scored at 21 centimeters, and because it's A3, it means I was able then to just fold that, giving me an A4 folded card. But I need to cut that down. It is a nice die set. So if you've got any questions today, don't forget to type them in, and I'm sure Gavin will respond to those messages as I'm doing the live. Hi Jacqueline Littlewood, long time no speak, hope you're enjoying yourself up in London. So I'm now putting this folded piece in. It's A4, so it's 21 that way, and I need to cut it to 21 to make a square card. So this is actually bigger than an 8x8 card. Okay, so there's my little square piece, and I can pop down another card if I wanted to. So that is my card base. Okay, so that is that. I'll pop that up, and then we're going to continue with the rest of it. So I need to cut a piece of white card. Now I'm using 300 gram, I think that's a bit small. No, it's not. So I'm using 300 gram super smooth card, but it could be any sort of white card, because you're not inking on it, you're not colouring on it. It's literally just a white bit of card to die cut. And I'm cutting that to 15 centimeters by 15 centimeters. So you should be able to get that out to just sort of A5 wide. So 15 by 15. Keep that for later, for stamping my butterfly. So that was 15 by 15 centimeters. And then what I'm going to do, I'm going to take the die from the Crafters Inspiration magazine, and I'm going to place the die into the bottom left corner. So this only cuts, it's a die that cuts in not completely out, so it only cuts out intricate little areas. Okay, so I'm going to cut that. So I've already put a bit of tape on to hold it, and I'm going to bring my cutter in, and I'm going to place it onto my white cutting plate and place the grey one on the top. So you would just use whatever machine you've got. You just use whatever machine you've got and the sandwich for a thin die. So I'm just putting my plate in and out, turning it around so it's different things. If you've got the Gemini, you probably only have to put it through once. And then when I cut that, all the little bits will start to come out. So you can see it does cut lovely, and this is a very old machine. Okay. So I'm just going to take a little pokey tool just to take the extra little bits out. And you can see now that that is cut that lovely. Okay. Oh, a little bit there. Just make sure you get all your little pieces out. Then I'm going to bring in my little lid for my rubbish. Remove all my little bits and also clear the dye out as well. So if you have a brush, if you have a dye brush, you can clear a lot of it out with that. And then you might only have one or two pieces which are stuck under the tape, so just remove that as well. That's all clear. So as you can see, I've cut that from that bottom corner there. Then what I'm going to do, I'm going to turn it around so that's coming from the top. I'm going to add my dye back into the bottom corner again. And I'm just keeping it about 3-4 millimeters away from the edge so that they don't overlap in the middle. Okay, and I'm going to pop that through again. So I'm glad you're enjoying yourself, Jackie, and it's going well. I'll try and do all my cutting in front of the camera today, just so you can see everything, to see how well these dies do cut. Okay, bring my little bit of box in again. Take out the excess from the dies. I'll just keep my fingers under the dies. If you've got a spongy board, you can put it under the spongy board as well. And then just remove the bits that are still in there. So that is that die finished with now. So we've actually cut that there. So we'll remove that out of the way, and then I will bring that back in when I show you what we've used again. And then even with your card, as long as you're gentle with the brush, you can even put that over your hands and brush that, and a lot of the pieces will come out of there as well. Now one little piece has escaped me again. So let's clear the rubbish. So if this die can cut really well on a ground colour, but it's going to cut really well on any other die cutting machine. Okay. So we now have this cut out here. You can see it looks lovely with the brown behind it as well, but we're going to add some colour onto that in a minute. But the first thing I need to do, so this was 15 by 15 and I just cut the die from each corner like that. Then I'm going to take a piece of lilac. This is just lilac card, it's about 230 to 240 grams. And I'm going to cut that to 16 centimeters by 16 centimeters. And we've got spare pieces for later. Sorry. So this will actually fit onto there with a nice little border, so that looks quite nice with the lilac in there, but we're going to add some shadows and stuff into it now as well. Okay, so the next thing I need to do is to bring in a blending mat. This has still got a bit of the teal on it, so that's not going to matter. I'll just use the back end and I'll give this a really good clean later. So I'm going to take my lilac piece and my white piece. I'm going to take a nice soft distressing brush. You could use any sort of brushes you've got. Hi Janice. And then I've got two colours from the opaque pigments, and of course you could use dye based as well. And I've got damson wine and crushed velvet. Okay, so the crushed velvet is my light colour and then my damson wine is my dark colour. So I'm going to start with my light colour, and all I'm going to do, I'm going to place it roughly where it needs to be. I'm going to pop my hand on the one edge like this so that I can hold it up. So I can do that, put my wrist on there, and then I can lift it up and keep going up and down like this. Okay, so I want to place the light colour around sort of the tops of the flowers, and then the dark colour I want to put into the bases of the flowers. So I'm going to do, tap onto my light one, and I'm just going in. I'm not worried about it being rough, and I'm not worried about it even being, just putting some colour in there. It doesn't have to be perfect. And keep putting it down to check it, make sure you're in the right place. So you can start seeing now that when I put it down, there's little bits of colour come to the top of the flowers. Okay, and then a little bit in there. So I'm quite happy with that side. So you can see there's a little bit of colour in there. And I'm going to turn it around and do the same with the other flowers on the other side. So I'll pop my arm on there, and then I can lift up this to add the colour in. Like I said, don't worry about it being quite rough, it doesn't matter. Nothing in nature is perfect. And I'm quite happy with that now as well. Okay, so that's the light colour. But to finish with the light colour now, I just want to go around the outer edge as well and just put little patches of the light colour around the outer edge as well. And the thing with pigment is it will stay wetter for longer, the ink, so you will get little bits on your fingers, so just be careful you don't transfer that to the white card. Okay, so that's that. So we know we have that, and then I'm just going to use, because I've done light colour first, I'm then going to, yes, thank you. Yes, that's how I did that. So you just lift it up So now I'm going to go in with my dark colour, which is the Damson Wine. I'm going to use the same brush because they're sort of similar tones, but that's why I've done my lighter colour first. Put my arm on there again, bring my finger over so I can actually lift that again, and I can be more precise of where I'm going with my darker colour. So I'm doing these at the bottom of the flowers, so around there. And it doesn't matter if you miss bits, it's just to give different tones to the actual card, so it's not just one basic colour, and you can keep adding until it's as dark as you want it. And I'm quite happy with that side, so now we're going to turn it around and we can add some darkness in, and then what I'll do, you can see that lovely on there, and then I'm going to do my other side. So just tap it in, pick up the area you want the darkness on the bottom of all the flowers. I'm not tapping too hard on get a little bit of darkness into that bulb up there, to the bottom of that flower, and I'm quite happy with that now as well. But to finish it off then, I want to go around and all the little areas I've missed in between the light colour, I just want to tap in, I want to put in just a little bit of darkness around the outer edge as well. And again, it doesn't matter if you do leave a little bit of the light lilac card, because that's all down to do with the card. So that's that. Okay, so it just looks like blobs on that piece of card at the moment, but once I bring this in then, so just bring it in, and then you can see that you've got your different colours within the flowers. Okay, so it looks lovely, doesn't it? Okay, thank you, Sarah. I try my best to be creative. And then what I'm going to do, when I did the teal one, when I did the teal version of the card, which is that one, the ink that I had left on this bottom bit here, I actually took a piece of just paper or card that can take a little bit of water, so not super smooth, and then I had a spritzer bottle which had a little bit of mica powder in. Spritzed my little mat with it, so there's mica within this, and then I just moved it around and started picking up some of the colour. So you can see I'm starting to make a background now, and I can use that. So the nice little mica, so I'm just rubbing it around. There we are. You can see now that's got a nice little bit of lilac to it. It's got a nice teal to it, and then it's also got a lovely little sheen, so you can see all the little shiny pieces which have come from the mica, and this can be used then for cutting flowers as a background, you know, absolutely phenomenal not to waste your inks from your mat. And we just pop that to the side to dry, and while that is there, I'm just going to take a bottle without mica in and just wipe that mat down a bit now before I move on to my next bit. So that was just plain water. If you do find that some of the stains are a bit awkward to get off, you can use the archival ink cleaner, and if you just dab your cloth onto the top like that, you can wipe down areas as well. There is a bit on my mat here, so I don't want that to get on my card. So just push it on the top, and that will remove any of the ink that I have, and it smells lovely as well. It's archival stamp cleaner, and I have to thank a young boy called Simon Hurley from Ink Clips, who actually did a video on different ink cleaners and swore by this one, and that's why we've started to use it. It is really, really good. It does get your stamps very, very clean. Yeah, my favourite colour is the teal ones, but I wanted to do a slightly different colour one for the card so that we can continue, and so you've got two different variations to look at. Okay, so that's that. So I'm going to give that ink a little bit of time to dry before I stick that on, because it may not take to it. So I shall pop that to the back, out of the way. And then my next part is to produce my little die cuts. So that you didn't have to watch me cut in all of them, I am going to cut one of each. I have cut a few already, because I'm going to need 4. I've actually cut 1, 2, 3 of the lilac in the pattern, and 3 of the black in the plain. Okay, and what I'm going to do now, I'm going to cut another one of these lilacs and another one of these blacks, and then we can come back and I'll show you how we're going to do that. Okay. So I'll just get the lilac in the back and the machine. So that's the machine. I'm going to use my small plates again. Taking my white plate and my lilac. And I got 4 of these, 4 of this die out of an A5 sheet of card. So you can get 8 of these out of an A4. And then the plain one out of the black. And again, you'll get, they're the same width, so you'll get 8 of these out of an A4 as well. And the black I'm using is just a thin 160. So all I'm going to do is pop them both on at the same time. Pop them on there. So there we are. So you can see my plain one's there with the black, and my pattern one is there with the lilac. And again, I'm going to place it in. I'm placing it at an angle so that when it hits the flat area of the top, it's not going to cause any problems, and I'm also going to bring it back through as well. So again, Geminis, Big Shots, Cuttlebergs, whatever you've got, these will fit in there. Okay, so the black one will just slot out of that one nice and easy. And there are some release holes in the corner. There's 2 at the one end, 2 at the other end, but as soon as you touch one, they're just going to fall out. So we have now finished with that die, so I shall pop that to the side. And then this one, as you can see, all the bits are already dropping off there. And if I run my fingers across that, it's even taking a lot more of them out. Okay. And again, there is some release holes. It's one on the left and one on the right here. And that will just come out nice and easy. So they cut really, really easy. Such good quality dies. It is an investment, but the amount of stuff I can do with these borders is amazing. Again, the other little dots you can just take out with a porky tool or brush, whichever you've got. See, it's easy, it's coming out nice and easy. I'm going to struggle. Don't know why I'm using my old porky tool, because I have got a Phil Martin one here as well from his new porky tools. Okay, so that's that one done. And I can place all the rubbish from that one into my little waste box. So all my paper gets recycled into the paper recycling, and all my plastic gets put into a brick-in bottle, even the backs of my foam pads. So enough of that. So if anybody's got any questions, don't forget we can answer them. If you want to know about anything else that we're using, yes, you could use the bits as confetti, Melanie. You really could, because they're sort of hexagonal. The ones that have come out here, they look circular, but they are actually hexagonal. So that's all I'm doing. I'm putting a little bit of glue just down the two widest parts, and I'm using the high-tack glue, just placing them on the top of the black and pushing them into place and sticking that, and this glue really does grip quickly. That's one done. Push them together, push them along the side, run my finger gently along, and that's stuck already. That's number 2. So black is a colour that pops, and I know Gavin likes to use black quite a bit. I'm not using much of this glue at all, and it does come with a fine nozzle on it anyway. So you just cut a little bit off the top to open it, and then you get a little bung that stays on the top as well. So just pushing that together, push that together, slide it a tiny amount, and that's done. So I'm just placing glue just along the edge there. I'm just going to place that on the 4th one. The border die is a Phil Martin die. We've got, I think it's 3 or 4 different ones we have. This is the straight one. And the straight one is that one. It's got a plain die, and then it's got 3 different pattern ones, and it's called Loveliest Lattice Borders. And it is available on the link at the bottom. So that's what that is. So they have now been done. So I'm just going to pop my glue on the top, like that. Pop it in my pop neck behind. And now I need to sort of temporarily stick these together, but without sticking them completely. The flower die, the corner flower die, is actually in with a magazine. What I'm doing, I'm just placing each corner of these together so that they're perfectly square. I'm just going to take a little bit of low tack tape. You can use washi tape if you want. I'm going to tape that together. This is only temporary, so it's not perfect. I'm going to put the next one in. That's all I'm doing, is make sure it's square there and it's square there before I tape it. And then when I come to doing the other one, I need to put that underneath there, that under, this one on the top, There, make sure that is square there. And then this one needs to go underneath that one, and I just need to make sure that that is square there and there again. So you just check in each corner, making sure it's in its place. And I tape it from the back like that first, and then you lift it over and it gives you that. Now if you was happy enough with that, you could use that as it is, but I want to miter these corners. Okay, so that looks quite nice actually. It's quite retro, you know, but I want to sort of miter the corners. Okay, and that's all you do. You make sure that they're still straight and square on both corners. You take your scissors to where they meet at that point there, aim your scissors for the point at the corner and cut that, and then that will be moved from there and the back one will move from there. If you take that tape then to the back and actually stick that back on like that, then you can see it actually gives you a nice little pattern like that. Okay, so it sort of joins your pattern up in the corner, and then we're going to move around, make sure it's level again, point that from the corner to the point, cut that again, your little corners drop off, flip it over, join that together, stick that together, like so. Okay, so we're now starting to make our miter corners and the pattern is looking all nice around. So I'm just going to do the same on the other two corners. So that's 3, and then I've just got one more to cut. Okay. Find one of them's not falling right, just pick it up and just adjust it. And then we've got this last corner. So the last corner we're just going to and that, cut it to the corner there, and you can do this with any border at all and the pattern will always match up if you've cut it exactly the same. So with dies you're always guaranteed it's going to be the same. Okay, so now we have our nice little border, all joins up nicely, and if you need to make fine adjustments then you can actually do that. Take the tape off, bring it together, just nice. Don't know why I moved it, should have just left it as it was. Just a little bit that was off there, so that's why it wasn't quite there. That's better. Yeah, so that's lovely. Okay, so now I have a square, it's all matching. So this square can now be fitted to my front of my card. So as you can see, this card was made a little bit bigger, but because I know lots of people can't get hold of a slightly larger A3 card, I thought I would do it with an A3 this time, so it has become a little bit smaller. So what I'm going to do is bring in this piece here. I'm going to fit that onto this folded card. So this time you can use your all-purpose, you can use any glues you want on this. You can use your double-sided tapes. I'm just using the all-purpose Collal. Make sure I'm not going through the gaps, but making sure there's enough there to stick it all. Oops. It is a bit floppy, so if you grab either side, and when you pull it and you get your matting layer around. The all-purpose allows you to slide it a bit as well. So that is now my nice border, which goes all the way around the card. Okay. I could actually just take this and put it on foam pads and place that dead center like that, but I want this to have a little bit of a black border as well. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to take the same thickness of black that was on here, that's fine. I'm just going to put a little bit of this stickier glue under the corner there. There we go. Just to stick that down. There we go. Lovely. So that's that one done. So my card opens up like that. So I'll pop that to the back. I'll just remove this for a minute so it's out of the way. Now we're going to bring in, thank you Sarah, glad you're all enjoying it. So it is a lovely card to make. It's quite simple really. So now I'm going to take the black piece of card, and it's literally 160 gram. I'm going to cut that to 16.5 centimeters. So 16.5 centimeters. Which this will actually fit on with a nice little black border around. But I'm sticking that directly onto my card like that. Just making sure that it all looks the same around. So we've got the same amount of diamond showing all the way around the outer edge there. So I'm going to stick that onto there. Yep, which I'm going to stick on flat. Around the edge, I just do like a wiggle through the middle. See all the glue on there. And then because of the all-purpose Collal, I can just move that around a little bit until it's in place. So you know, that is a lovely base for quite a few cards that could be made. I could put 3D flowers around the corner, I could put a nice little circle shape in there. You know, it's a nice base for a card, and change the colour of the card and it's a different looking card. So now I've got this and this done, I'm now gonna just going to bend this forward a little bit, just level it out. And I'm going to use my high tack because it's going onto this card. I'm going to use my high tack because it's in a fine nozzle. I'm going in between where the flowers are as well. So around the edges, little gaps in between the flowers so they don't lift up. Just a nice little gentle squeeze with the pot. It never bungs up this pot, so it's lovely. The glue always flows. Now I'm going to take that, and I might get my head in. No, I won't get my head in the way. Just making sure that it's the right way for the flowers. Don't want to put it down so we don't see the colour in the flowers. So you can see now, you can see your darkness and your lightness of your colours all the way around that. Okay, I'm just rubbing it on, making sure it's all glued down. If you've got a little bit sticking up, just put the tuber and put a little bit of glue on the end. Push that down, make sure it's stuck. And that's done. And then I'm going to put some foam pads onto this piece. Could use foam tape as well. I'm going to use some foam pads. I've got a big pot of foam pads, so I'm just going to take a few off. And I'm going to cut them into smaller, thinner pieces. To be a little frugal. If you're selling your cards, you need to be a little bit frugal, but still need to make sure it's going to stay straight and upright and not sag in the middle. There's nothing worse than a saggy middle. So just put one in each corner, so that's close to the edge. And through between. With a small gap between them, there's not going to make it sag. It's not going to make it sag at all. It'll stay upright and flat and nice. Thank you, Melanie. Even there, I can leave slightly bigger gaps. It's not going to matter. You just you save your foam pads. You still use a few, at least you use a little bit less. And then one in the corner, coming down like that. And like that. And I've never had a saggy card. Never ever given anybody a saggy card, so I know it's enough to just do that and that, and then just pop one in the middle like that. Okay, so you're making like a nice little pattern, really, a nice little star. All my backings go in my pewter box. So I'm just going to peel off the backings off all these. And with my ones, it's got a little overlap. It's like a finger lift foam pad. So I can really just take them off really easy. And again, another little tip, if you're wary about putting this down, take your glue, put some glue on the foam pads before you put it down. It gives you a little bit of a lift up as well, so you don't have to worry about it being in the wrong place. I'm just going to pop that in with them. So you can see now the card is now coming along. You can see it's just a little bit smaller, but it's going to be easier to get an envelope or make an envelope for this one than this one. So you can see the difference in colours now. So that's lovely. So this is coming on now, but I now need to do a sentiment and need to do a butterfly. Okay, so I'm going to show you how to do them now. So the sentiment I'm using is a Julie Hickey sentiment, and it's a signature happy birthday stamp and die set. So it's got a big happy birthday stamp with love and for you, and the with love for you is tiny stamp and happy birthday is a big stamp. Then it comes with a die, and with this die we're going to cut a piece out of the black, a piece out of the lilac, and I'm also going to cut it out of white as well. Thank you very much. Glad you like it. So what I've got, I've actually cut the black already. I've cut the lilac already, but I'm now going to cut the white. And then I'm going to show you how I stamp that as well. So again, I'm just going to bring my machine in and my little half plates. Again, these cut really well, really well. Once through, oops, once through, and that's cut. Okay, so that is now cut. Got all my little waste bits. Let's put away. And you'll always have a little couple of pieces that stay in the die, but it's so tiny you just use a pokey tool and that's done. So that's the large die. That's the happy birthday die that comes with the stamp. And then to stamp these, to stamp this up with happy birthday, there's a little bit there as well. I'm literally going to take the dark colour ink, so that was the Damson Wine. Could use a light colour as well, but I want to use the dark colour. And what I want to do is I'm stamping around sort of the top and the right hand side quite a bit. So I'm just inking and inking and inking. And then this bottom corner, I'm just going to go once or twice. Go around once or twice. Around once or twice. And what that'll do now is make it darker along the top, but it'll be paler along the bottom. And this is an opaque pigment ink pad, and it's Damson Wine. And then I'm going to just hover over the top of that. Make sure I can see a little bit of white all the way around the sentiment, and then place my die down. You can stamp this. That's okay, Melanie. It's nice seeing you and speaking to you. So by doing that, I can see it's got a bit of white all the way around, but I could stamp it first and then place the die over the top. Okay, but I think it would be just a little bit more awkward to do that myself, and I prefer to do it that way, this way. So, and as you can see, hi Jenny. So as you can see, it's darker around the top and it's lighter along the bottom. Okay. Now I'm going to leave that there just to show you. So I've done this. And then what I'm going to do, I'm also going to stamp a nice little butterfly. Now the butterfly I just took from a set of stamps that I've had for years off a magazine. And what I'm going to do, again with the dark ink, I'm inking up the top part of the wings a lot, and then just tapping twice on the bottom part of the butterfly. And then when I stamp that, I get that two-tonal butterfly, so it's darker along the top and it's lighter at the bottom. Okay, so you can see that, and that's lovely. Okay, so what you do then, you just fussy cut around this butterfly. Nice, and so you just cut around it. You can use a small scissors, a large scissors, that's entirely up to you. It's a simple shape. Like that. Okay, so you can see that I'm just leaving a little bit of white around the wings. Okay, and you just continue to cut that out. You may have dies and stamps for butterflies which match, so you could actually use them. Okay, so I've now got a butterfly cut, but because the ink's a little bit wet on that, I'm going to leave that to the side. And I actually did do one earlier, so it's drier. And I actually did do one earlier of the wording as well. Okay, so because they're drier, I'd rather use them. So with this one then, I also wanted a matte and layer in black. So to do a matte and layer in the black, I actually took a piece of white card. Took a piece of white card. Placed my cut butterfly down like that. Took a pencil, traced around what I've cut out. So if you haven't got dies and multi-layer around a butterfly, this is how I do it. So I have my pattern there drawn out. Okay, so you can see that, and then what I do, I take the pencil and just draw an extra line around the outside of that shape, as wide as I want the matte and layer. So if I show you that. So I just do that. Okay, so I do that all the way around the butterfly, and then when I'd got that I cut it out on the outer line, which gives me that template. And then I can keep this template to go with that stamp at all times. And then what I do, I can take a piece of black card or paper, I can place it on to there, and I can actually trace around with a white pencil or lead pencil. And that then will give me, I don't know if you can see the pencil line there, yeah you can. So that gives me an outline to cut to then, so that I can actually get a butterfly stamped out or cut out in black, which my other butterfly will fit into the center with a nice little matte and layer. And you can make your matte and layer then as big or as small as you want. Okay, so that's how I've done my matte and layer for my butterfly. Okay, so just a simple stamp, or you could use punches and dies. So now I have these. I hope everybody is following. So I stamped my butterfly, cut it around, leaving a little bit of white on, then traced it. Traced around the outer edge, then made the pencil line outside of that, cut that out, and then that gives me a stencil to cut my black piece out. And that's how I got that. Okay, so we're now going to stick this together. I'm going to use my high tack, and all I'm going to do is put a little bit on the center of that piece and put my butterfly onto there. Just got a nice little border. Yeah. Then I'm going to take, got my nice little border on that. Then it's up to you what you use then to do this. I'm going to just put my pokey tool point along there. I'm going to fold our wing up from the side of the body. I'm going to fold that wing up. Okay, so basically it gives me a flat area on the bottom of the wings for sticking onto my card. And then you can shape them then. So you can take all sorts of tools, you know, bone folders, or you can curl those wings to give you a bit more dimension. Thin paper will curl a lot quicker than card, but I don't mind them being a bit different, so you can see then that I have that there. Okay, so that's quite a nice butterfly, and it stands up quite proud. And then on the sentiment piece, I'm actually going to matte and layer these with a slight shadow. Okay, and make sure they're all in shot. So the first thing I'm going to do is put a little bit of glue, just touch it around. So I'm just putting a little bit of glue around the outer edge of that. I'm going to matte and layer it so that it adds a little bit of a shadow. So you can see then that has a shadow, like so. Just making sure it's completely dry before I add the white piece on. So I'm going to take my white piece and put a little bit of glue on the back of that. I'm just putting that tiny amount of glue on there from the nozzle. Sorry I was out of shot doing that then, but and then what I'm going to do, I'm going to add the same amount of shadow from the white to the lilac. I'm just going to pop that down, put my hand on top of it so it's got a chance to dry and set, and that's set. So that's how quick this glue dries. So that is now my matte and layered shadow. And I've also got my butterfly there as well. Okay. And then before I put them on the card, just to give them a little bit of extra time to dry, I'm going to these sometimes can stain with pigment, or dye base is water based, but pigment can sometimes stain your stamps. And if I actually put a bit of white underneath there, you can actually see the colour that's still on the stamps. Okay, the stuff smells absolutely fantastic, and that's all I'm doing is just rubbing the sponge applicator, the felt applicator that's on there, over there. tapping it onto my cloth as well. Just rub it off. You leave it on for about 30 seconds to a minute, and then you can rub it off. And you can see that then it's absolutely spotlessly clean. It's not a thing on there, it's not a colour on it. You can see it's all on my cloth. Every single bit of that ink is on my cloth. So again, I really do have to say thank you to Simon Hurley for doing a video about cleaning his stamps and saying that was the best thing to use. And now I'm just spraying it with water just to remove anything that's in the stamp cleaner off the stamps itself. But they are spotlessly clean now. There's not a single problem with them. Okay. So that's how you clean. That's how I clean my stamps these days. And that is actually the archival ink cleaner. Acid-free, non-toxic, convenient dabber top. Okay. So let's bring our card back in, okay, because this is where we were with the teal one, and this is where we are with this one. Okay, so what I want to do now, I want to add my sentiment onto the top and my butterfly down here, and then I'm going to add some gems in as well. Okay, so let's add the sentiment first. With the sentiments, I actually did take some of those thin foam pads that I cut earlier, and because they've been matte and layered over each other, it actually does give you a spot, some areas to actually put your foam tape behind without it being able to be seen. So that's another good tip for that. And one there, so that's that, and then a couple more. We'll just do one more, one at the top there. Okay, so they are behind there now, and you can't see them from the front through any of the gaps of the sentiment. Why don't I try the sentiment at the bottom instead? Because if I put the sentiment at the bottom, the butterfly will have, I don't know, the butterfly, depends where I'm going to fly the butterfly, because I can't have it flying down. I could do that though. Shall we try that? Who wants to put the sentiment at the bottom? What do people think? Do you think I should put it at the bottom and then put the butterfly at the top? Yeah, that's one heart for yes. Yes, right, okay. I shall go with that then. Lots of hearts. Who's given lots of hearts? Probably Gavin, because he really wants it at the bottom. Right, so what I'm going to do then, I'm just going to place that there at the bottom. Okay, and then the butterfly, bottom, okay. And with this, I'm actually going to put some 3D glue gel underneath that wing and underneath that wing. A thin bead of it down the bottom there, down the body, and then that'll keep it, and we'll have the butterfly just flying sideways like that then. Is that what you're saying? Yeah. But to do the butterfly, I need to put, because it doesn't come with the little antennae on the butterfly, as you can see, means I need to do some antennae. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to do some antennae. So I'm going to do some nice long strokes and then a curve. Yep. A nice long straw coming off the card, so it looks more authentic. And we're just going to come like that, come off the card there. Okay. And then what I'm going to do, I'm just going to put my butterfly down like that. So now he's got little antennae coming from the top, and he's got like two little tail bits coming at the bottom. Okay. And that's all you got to do when you push your butterfly down, is make sure your 3D glue gel touches the card and then springs back up, and then that'll stay in shape when that dries. Okay. So there we are. So I've got my butterfly and stuff there, and now I need to add some gems. So with the teal one, I actually used the green sort of double coloured pearls, the greeny teal ones, which went really well. But we also do ones that have got blue and sort of purple lilac as well. So I'm actually going to put some of them on. Yes, definitely the finishing touches. So with this one, it was pink and blue on the gems, which had some nice ones. And the other thing is, if your gems are all on the tips, just take a pencil or something and just slide it back and forth, and it tends to push your pearls the right way as well. So you can see they're all up on the top now. Okay. That's a nice shot there. And then I'm going to take Phil Martin's sort of sticky tool, and it's got a little ball tool on the end, and this is wax, so you should never keep it somewhere hot. I'm also going to use either a fine nozzle glue, or I could use this one. I will use this one because I know it'll work. And I'm just going to place and get the glue to come out a bit. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 gems on the butterfly, and I'm just going to randomly put some dots around the area for some of the other gems. Up there, we got there as well. Okay, and that's all I'm going to do. The tiniest little gems I'm going to put onto the butterfly body. So I'm just popping that, just touch the gem, you don't push down at all, just leave it touch the glue and then just lift it off gently. And once I put these on, then I'll show you the card nice and close. Can use the gem to push them but not downwards. And then we're going to have a mixture of large and small gems around, scattered around the card. Go for that one. Oh, not big one. Big one over there. And it's good because you've got different size gems in this pack. Put a tiny one there. Put a medium one there. Size one there. And then we'll go for another little tiny one this side of the net. And then we'll put a medium one up here somewhere. What size is that one? I think what you can do as well, which is what I will do, just to bring in a bit of the what's in the card into there. I will go dead centre of that pattern there, that dot there, and I will add a little gem into there as well, just to bring those little spots of colour to the outside as well. And we will use the large ones and fill those holes in really. Okay, and that is all the nice little finishing touches. Bring that over to there so you can see it. I'll just do that, move the light now so you can actually see those little colours on there. Yeah, they are fab. And what I do to put them back into the little bag they come in, you could put them into an empty glitter pot, but what I tend to do is I take an old little cup, bring my cup to the edge of the table and just pour them into there, and then I can bring my cup into the bag and just tap them all out like that. So that concludes our live for today. So again, I will actually show you everything that's been used today as well. So there's the two cards. I do like them. They're so different in their colours. And this one's a little bit smaller, but I think I prefer it with it flush around the edge instead of having the little gaps on the corners. Thank you, Jenny. Glad you like it. So the first thing that I used was the Crafter's Inspiration magazine. So that was issue 27, which comes with a stencil, a dotty stencil, a stamp magazine, one stamp which have got lots and lots of words, but you could cut them individually. And I actually made a card with them on a live not so long back, so you can see that again on our lives, on our videos. And it also comes with this corner die which I've used for the flowers today. So that was that. I also used the Phil Martin border dies, and we have three different versions of these in the shop, but obviously that's them. And we also used the Julie Hickey signature happy birthday stamp and die set, which is a lovely set. You've got a nice big stamp and the die to actually cut it, which leaves a nice little white border around it as well. Okay, like that when you stamp it. And then that's all I used then was an odd butterfly stamp from another set of stamps which came on a stamping magazine a few years back, actually, probably. Okay, I've just come across a couple of more gems. So that's all I've used on there. And then I've used in colours, I've used crushed velvet for my light colour, and damson wine for that one, and the little gems with the purple and blue look. And with the green one I used green topaz for the light colour and lagoon for the dark colour. And I used the gems that have got sort of the tealy greeny blue and the pinks, just to bring a little hint of pinks into that one. And I think that was it. Oh yes, I used the aqua colour card on this one, just the lush lilac, or the lilac one on this one. So there we are. So that's two cards, and I thoroughly enjoyed making this one. It's quite easy to do, and thoroughly enjoyed it. And I love how it comes out, and just to show the different colours are so very different. Okay, So thank you again for watching, everyone. Glad you enjoyed it. And we'll catch you again for our next live, which will either be next Thursday or in a fortnight's time. So keep an eye out on our Facebook page. Don't forget to support local, and hope you have a go at making this card. And if you do, please share it. Please share it with us. Thank you. Bye everyone. See you again soon.